Let's start now. Today we will continue with section 12.2. We have maybe 2 or 3 more examples. Then we'll go to the last section, which is 12.3. We talked about the ellipse last time. And I think this was the last example that we did. I'm just going to cover 2 more examples. One of them is this one. He says the graph each equation, give the domain and range. Now, Shabab, if you look carefully here, he wants me to graph it. But before doing that, to graph, I will try to get rid of the root. How can I get rid of the root, Shabab?
Square both sides.
Can I square both sides? And if I do that, what will I get? Y squared over 4 is equal to 1 minus. Now this thing, does it look like an ellipse? If I rewrite it, make one of the sides equal 1. Is this an ellipse, Shabab?
Yes.
Of course, yes. Now, for this ellipse, what's the type? Is this a horizontal ellipse or a vertical ellipse?
Horizontal ellipse.
Why is it horizontal?
Because the A under the X. For the major axis.
Okay. Because the larger number is under X. What's the center?
0 and 0.
0, 0, because the values of H and K, if you remember them. Now, how much is A squared?
25.
It's 25. So A is 5. B squared is 4. So B is 2. Now he's not asking me to find the foci. So there's no need to find the value of C. Now he just wants me to graph. So graphing this one, I think we took it earlier. This is horizontal. So I'll start my graph from where? From the center, 0, 0. The value of A is 5. If you remember, we said A and C are both horizontal. So I will move with A 5 units to the right, 5 units to the left. So I will reach -5 from the left, 5 from the right. The value of B is 2. So I move 2 units up and 2 units down. This will give me the endpoints of the minor axis. So I'll reach where now? 2 from top, -2 from the bottom. So my ellipse will be like this. But now a question, Shabab. My graph before squaring and my graph after squaring, are they the same?
No.
Let me just show you something. Here, y equal x. Do we remember how is the graph?
A straight line.
It was a straight line like this. What about if I square both sides, this thing? Look at the graphs. Are the 2 graphs the same?
No.
The answer is no. So if I'm squaring, my graph for sure is changing. How will I know what's my graph here? Please pay attention. This is a very important part. If I go back to the given equation, which is this, y over 2, I will put it here. Now, y over 2, ya shabab, equals to a root. Am I right? This root, is it positive or negative? What's the answer for the root? Can the answer of a root be negative?
Impossible.
So this root is always positive or at least 0. So here, can I say that y Is it greater than or equal to 0? Because y over 2 here. I said y over 2 is positive or 0. So can I say that y is greater than or equal to 0? If this is the case, in which quadrants y is greater than or equal to 0?
The first and the second.
So what should I do to my graph now? I just need to take the part of the graph, take the part of the graph that lies in first and second quadrants. So what should I do with the part which is in the third and fourth quadrants? I have to remove it. Oh, I will remove this. So from the remaining graph, what's the domain of the remaining graph? The domain of the remaining graph.
From -5 to 5.
And the range?
From 0 to 2.
From 0 to 2, and this is my answer. So domain is -5 to 5, range from 0 to 2. A question for you, Shabab, here. What if the equation here in the original was negative root? This means the value of y will be negative. Which quadrants will these be?
The third and the fourth.
So I will take the part of the third and the fourth. So it's important to study the sign outside the root. If you have a question, go ahead. If you don't, it's your turn. I want each one of you to solve this one now. But before you start, look here, Shabab. X is what? Negative or positive?
Negative.
Which quadrants X will be negative in?
Second and the third.
So you will draw your ellipse, but at the end, you will just choose the part in the second and third. Again, square both sides, then write it in standard form. After that, make your graph. Haytham, I cannot see you in the camera. Khalid, I cannot see you in the camera. It's open, but I cannot see. Haytham and Khalid. Salman, your camera is off. Abdullah, your camera is off. Muhammad, your camera is off.
Can you see me now, Doctor?
Just wait a minute. Muhammad and Salman, their camera is off. Let me go back. No, just two people I cannot see right now. Khalid, your camera is upside down. Muhammad and Salman, your cameras are off. Salman. Yeah, Salman. Also Muhammad, I don't know Muhammad what, Muhammad A. And the picture is written as 0,6. Open your camera, Muhammad. It doesn't show me what's the family name. Muhammad A. Salman, are you infected with the coronavirus? طيب. Now, if I square both sides, can anyone give me the equation? Haytham, can you give me the equation after squaring?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, x square equal to root.
The negative will cancel. No, we are squaring. The root
Yeah.
will cancel.
Yeah, 1 minus y تربيع over 64.
Now, if we rewrite it, I can move y squared over 64 to the other side. So my equation will be like this. Can we say x squared is over 1? Now, let's see Abdul Rahman. What's the type of this ellipse? Is it horizontal or vertical? Abdul Rahman A. I don't know what's your family name. It doesn't show. What's the type? Is this a horizontal ellipse or a vertical ellipse?
البلوي.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, it's you.
It's horizontal
Why?
because the longer 64
64 is under X or under Y?
under Y.
So if it's under Y, it's what? Horizontal or vertical? It's vertical, Abdul Rahman. If it's under Y, it's vertical. If it's under X, it's horizontal. Okay? Mazen, can you give us the center?
0, 0.
0, 0. What about A squared? Do you know it?
What?
Again?
B squared 8. Yeah.
No, A is the largest. B is the smallest. Who's the largest? 64 or 1?
1.
Larger, 64 or 1?
Oh, larger. 64.
64 is A squared and B squared is 1. So this means how much is A?
A 8 and B 1.
And B is 1. Now the question is asking us to graph. This is a vertical, Shabab, now. So A will be vertical. Since A is vertical, this means I have to go with A up and down. I will go 8 units up and 8 units down. Where will we stop? At 8 on top and at negative 8 from down or below. B is 1. I will go 1 unit to the right, 1 unit to the left, because B is in the opposite direction of the ellipse. Now, as we mentioned earlier, which part of the ellipse should I take?
The second quadrant and the third quadrant.
Why? Because
Because X is
X
negative.
is what? So we'll say X is equal to a negative root. This means X is negative. Negative means second and third quadrants. So what's the domain of this graph that we did here? Domain is -1 to 0 range from -8 to 8. And we are done with this example. Now I proceed to the last example, which is this one. He says, find the equation of the ellipse whose endpoints of minor axes are these. Now, the minor axis, if you remember, is the smaller axis. Look at the values here, Shabab, the points. Which values has changed or have changed, sorry, the values of X or the values of Y?
Values of Y.
So the minor axis is what? The minor axis is horizontal or vertical? So the ellipse is horizontal. Now, can we say that the center is the midpoint of the endpoints of the minor? The midpoint formula, does anyone remember what is it?
M1 plus M2 all over 2.
So I can say 4 plus -2 over 2, and the answer is 2 and what? 4 plus -2 is 2 divided by 2 is 1. The B in the equation means the distance from the center to one endpoint of the minor axis. Now, what's the distance, Shabab, from the point 2, 1, let's say, to the point 2, 4? What's that distance?
3.
It's 3. So the value of B is, so let's say that B is 3. Okay, now he wants me to find the equation. To find the equation, I need the type. We know it's horizontal. We need the center. We found it. But also we need the value of A. B we found. So I have to use now the given information, which is E equals. E, if you remember, is the eccentricity. And E is C over A. So can I say that now 4 over 5 equals to C over A? Now, in general, Shabab, this does not mean that C is 4 and A is 5. We don't know that. Here in this equation, Shabab, how many variables do you see? 4 over 5 equals C over A.
2.
2.
2 variables. Can we solve an equation in 2 variables?
Yes.
No, the answer is, unfortunately, the answer is no. If I have 2 variables, how many equations do I need?
2 equations.
I need 2 equations. How many equations do I have right now?
Only 1. Okay.
Only 1. So I need to search for another equation. That other equation, Shabab, I will get it from B. Do we know a relation between A, B, and C?
The Pythagorean.
The Pythagorean. So from B, I will say what? That B squared is equal to A squared minus C squared. This means 9 is equal to A squared minus C squared. Now these two, are they 2 equations or not?
Yes.
So these two together, we call them a system of equations. So now we have to learn, we have to solve this system. In this system, do we have a linear equation?
Yes, C over equals 4 over
And
10.
thank you very much, excellent. And the red equation, is it linear or quadratic?
Quadratic.
So if I have a linear equation and a quadratic equation, what's the best way to solve this system?
By graphing.
No, أعوذ بالله. We have to substitute the linear into the non-linear. So I have what now? 9 equals A squared minus C squared. We wrote it on the other side as 4 over 5A. So this is the substitution. In my last line here, how many variables do you see?
One.
1 variable. So I think it's very easy to solve. Can I multiply here by the LCD? Multiply everything by 25. What will I get if I do that? 25 times 9 is equal to 25A squared minus 16A squared. Can I say that 25 times 9, leave it as it is, don't multiply, is equal to 9A squared? Divide by 9 now. can we say that 25 is a squared? So don't forget at the beginning, he was asking us to find the equation. So now I found everything that I need, the type, the center, the values of A and B. So my equation should be of what? We said this is a horizontal. So the larger number is under what?
X.
Under X. If we substitute, what do we get? Substitute the values. The center is 2, 1. I will have what now? X minus 2 all squared over S squared, which is 25, plus Y minus 1 all squared over B squared, which is 9, is 1. And this is the equation that we are looking for. This question was not so easy because we have to solve a system of equations. One of them is linear and the other is non-linear. This was an old exam also. By this, I have finished section 12.2. If you have a question, raise your hand. If you don't, I will stop the recording now.